Welcome to the 320 Way in Conversation, hosted by founder Karen Case.
Welcome to the 320 Way, where we are changing the story of how we aged. Today I'm joined by former Great British Bake Off contestant Karen Wright. She's going to tell us all about life before and after the Bake Off tent and her diagnosis of pre-type 2 diabetes, where she reversed that diagnosis in just 6 weeks. Karen, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, good morning, Karen. It's my pleasure.
Great to see you. So, your life changed significantly over the last how many years?
It's 8 years.
8 years. So tell us all about the Bake Off. We're all dying to know about Paul Hollywood's lovely blue eyes.
Blue eyes. Yeah, well, they are. They're very blue. Yeah, the Bake Off, it's quite an iconic experience for anybody that manages to get a place in there. It's in high demand. I think when I applied, there were 25,000 people
Wow.
put an application in there, and to get that whittled down to 12, it's quite an achievement in itself, really.
Absolutely.
And yeah, the Bake Off tent, the judges, because we got Prue Leith, who is just retiring now after like 9 or 10 years she's done it,
And Nigella taking over.
so they say. Yes.
Mm.
So that's going to be an interesting combination, her and Paul. I should imagine the chemistry, which is so important in in life anyway. In any relationship, the chemistry is vital, isn't it? But on the TV screen, that plays out. So yes, it'll be interesting to watch how that develops.
So tell us all about how you got on the show.
That was the thing. That was that is quite a pivotal thing, really, in my story, because I'd baked cakes, mostly bits of pastry, all my life from being a child, but very, very basic. I didn't really develop into an all-round sort of baker that did lots of different things, had like a repertoire of bakes. I stuck very closely to what I'd always done. I got interested in decorating cakes, and I got really passionate about that, and I saw myself as being like a cake decorator and that. And my daughter sent me the link to the application form. It was on that seasons was playing out at that moment, so everybody was watching the telly, and she said, "Oh, have a look at this." And of course I thought, well, I know that I don't have a great repertoire of baking, but I'm going to have a look at it because I'm curious what the television programs want. So I opened up with my laptop, and I'm sort of squinting down, looking at all these questions about which bakes that you can do. And I realised that I could only do half a dozen really on the list. And I thought, well, that's not going to get me on the tent, is it? I'm not going to do it. And I started closing my laptop down. And then I got like one of those eureka moments, one of those flashes of inspiration that we all get, but we don't always hear it or respond to it. And I definitely got this. But how hard is it though? I remember thinking that. How hard is it to teach yourself all the stuff on this list? And I thought to myself, well, I've got 2 months before the deadline for the applications, which is a reasonable amount of time. So I just got full of enthusiasm, came down into my kitchen and set to work systematically going through the list. I'd already ticked off some that I could do, but there was obviously all manner of fancy pants stuff, really. With Google and some cookbooks I'd got, I went through and I found that without exception, every bake turned out looking great. Some of the tasting wasn't always at that point, but I got some great pictures. And I remember thinking, like, I never thought who'd have thought that I could conjure up a hot water crust pastry on first go. Here it is, nice pot pie, massive, and it all worked out. But I ticked the boxes, filled out a really good glowing report about myself, and sent it off. And that was it. All from that moment of listening to your inner ear. Yeah, I was hearing it.
Inner voice.
Inner voice, and taking action. And I think that was the main thing. And that's the start of the story.
Wow. So obviously, I'm sure it was pretty rigorous going through the whole audition process.
Yes, it's a long process. It took, I think, 2 months, and that was pretty heavy going. You know, there was lots of interactions between researchers, chats, then going into places, taking a few bakes, practice filming, you know, and all the time they were eliminating people down and down and down and down until you sort of felt that you were getting close. And then I was thinking, I'm a bit of a fraud, because I've only just, like, some people apply loads and loads of times, and I went once and got on. And that's it. But that's good though, isn't it? Because it's what, just because you don't get on every time doesn't mean to say if you don't keep trying something that you don't get there eventually. And one of our bakers, he was on his 7th, I think it was his 7th application, and he got so far each time, and then not, you know, and on I just got in. So whichever way you do it, it's always worth having a stab at anything.
And also, it's the mix of people. It could be that that person wasn't right for that show.
You're right, Karen.
Because they have to have the quota.
Yeah, they're making a program, and they need to get a cross section of people. They need to, you know, tick a few boxes. We know that, and get a band of people that are going to work well in the tent together. And I think that's what their job's to do that. And I got
that's right. Yeah.
How fortunate was I?
First time. Well, you obviously had talent as well and charisma.
I think so. I think you've got to. I knew, just like going for any job interview, it's how you sell yourself and how you prepare yourself, and all the things that go together to make a good package. And I'm old enough age, but you know, I've come along. I've had a few different jobs in my life, and I knew that I had to make a good impression, and I've got some good ideas. I used my 2 girls to edit what I'd said about myself, and make sure that we'd got a really crisp application, which was, I think, probably good, because it was probably easy to read as well for them to look through what I was saying about myself. So it's a whole thing, really. It came together.
I forgot, actually, I've just remembered this. I applied for a TV show. It only had 1 season. It wasn't very good. But I applied for a TV show where you went on with your dog, and had to do all these tasks with your dog. I took Henry, and I got to the audition. I went to Bristol and did the audition, and there was like 15, and I think they needed 8. I didn't get picked. But I think it's just because I probably outshone everybody else or something.
Yeah, that would be.
And Henry was fabulous because he was giant schnauzer, so he looked amazing. But maybe Henry would have got through without me. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. You got through. Then you're in the tent. Tell us all about that. What's that experience?
Yeah. Well, obviously it's terrifying. It's thrilling. It's, if you I don't like roller coasters really, but I have been on them, and I know that anticipation and then that thrill when you go. And it's a bit like that, I think, that sort of thing, because you're going into completely unknown territory, meeting brand new people on day 1. There you are, the 12 of you thrown together
and you're in the tent, day 1. It's the first time you meet.
They took us to the tent day 1 to have a look-see. And the next day we were filming. So we all met each other. And you feel it's a really interesting that you bond straight away, because it's such a unique experience for all 12 that you immediately cling together and become really, really close. In like the girl from Northern Ireland that left the first week, Imelda, I know that she still goes visiting one of the other bakers that
Right,
stayed
okay. They became
longer.
good
They
friends.
only, they only had the one weekend to bond, and that became a
Right.
friendship because of, that. So it was that, and then you meet the presenters, Noel, and we had Sandy Toxvig were the sort of presenters, and then the judges, we had Paul and Prue, completely different vibes from both pairs, which was exciting. Then the baking itself, because you've had loads of opportunity to bake at home, but of course, when you're in there, we've got the cameramen and people coming around asking questions all the time, and things go wrong because of the tension. And sometimes it's great, and sometimes, there were times when I thought I can't get. I remember on week 4 that I was in, it was melting chocolate dome thing.
I remember that. I watched that and I was so impressed.
Well,
But held my breath when you did the thing.
the backstory to that, though, was that at home in the practice, I'd never really managed to pull it off, not properly once with any confidence, because it was summertime, chocolate on the balloon, massive. It kept breaking and popping, and so I could never be sure because you only got the one chance. And I'd had a poor signature that week. It hadn't been my best, and I'd come bottom in my technical, which was blancmange.
Oh, right, okay.
So it all hinged on that, and I was getting really hyper with tension. And one of the cameramen came to me and said, "What's the matter? What's the matter, love?" And I said, "I don't know how to keep my balloon on this because I've got a pot like a book, and I wanted it to set just balanced on here, but of course it was." It could just hop off because a gust of wind and all that happens. And he said, "Have you not tried putting like cling film in your mop?" I said, "No." "Oh, hang on." And I said, "Hey, it's working." He said, "I know." I said, "How did you know that?" He said, I've done this job for 12 years. I've seen it all before. And it was, that was great because it taught me to ask for help as well. And that's something really important in life, I think, is to never, there's always somebody that has some experience and can help you. And I usually prepared to give that freely as he did. So yeah, it was just a really exciting time in my life. Loved it.
And you didn't win, but
No,
you
well,
got
I
to
always
week.
say, Karen, that people always come in and say, "Did you win?" And I say, "No, it wasn't about that. Winning was getting that first phone call, to be honest."
Absolutely,
Because
yeah.
all those people that applied, and little Karen, I was in France at the time in our holiday home. It was January, and this call came, and it was like, "Oh, this is Russell from the Great British Bake Off," like that. And I was like, "What? They've seen me?" And that was the
It was the
start.
win.
Also, that was the win. After that,
Yeah.
it's all above us.
Yeah. So tell us about life after then. What you learned, like lessons you learned from the Bake Off that you've applied to your life and how things
Yeah,
have
well,
changed.
so many. It's hard to be that concise. Basically, it gave me the confidence. So I was 60 when I applied. And
So
I've
we're all doing the maths now. Okay.
learned all of the maths, yeah. I'd done lots of interesting things in my life before and had a certain amount of confidence. And I think a lot of people would say, "Oh, Karen, life and soul of the party, she can do this, and this," but not in, we all carry some baggage, don't we? And there are lots of things that I would have been concerned about even thinking. But once I'd done that, it actually thought, what does it matter? What happens? Life is not finite. I've had this experience and I wanted more. I wanted more fun and excitement. I'd got that taste, I got the bit between my teeth. And I thought, well, maybe I'll get an agent. Now, we'd been promised agents, but no, they haven't promised. They promised introductions, should I say. Well, mine, nothing was forthcoming in my introductions. And I contacted all the suggestions, and everybody said no. And I kept saying, is it because I'm old? What's the reason? Because I thought, well, I think I'm all right. Why won't they give me a shot? Anyway, nothing came of that. So I just decided, and this is what I wouldn't have done before, I can push myself, make feelers out. I made some contacts of various things because I worked with the Caravan and Motorhome Club as well. I did a lot with that. Travel became food, and I just managed to get contacts. And then I did and still am doing a lot of food festivals, worked with the club, the Caravan Club at the NEC for a long time. Was fortunate to be asked to go on trips to report on. Do a lot of radio, did some more telly. I did 2 or 3 more stints on telly, written a fabulous book that I've got out.
Yes, we'll find out about that later.
I continue to push myself into areas of discomfort, really. Things that scare me, but it won't kill me. I think that's it. I thought, what? So what? And that's what I've taken from it in a nutshell.
So you've done things like speaking engagements, cookery demonstrations.
Yeah, all the time, actually. I forgot lots of speaking engagements. That's the thing. I wouldn't have been able to think about what I would speak to people about. Now, I start with Bake Off when I do the talk, so I've got quite a long talk, but now I've found that I can talk about other things as well. A little bit about motivational. I was asked recently to do a motivational talk specifically, and I used some of the Bake Off for that, but other things and other philosophies that I think about now and subscribe to, and I try to be funny. Well, I think my husband says I aren't funny, but I think I am.
No, you are funny. You are.
Take John, my husband, and of course he's a bit like the brunt of my jokes, and all the audience loved that. They go, "Oh, poor John, don't get onto him." But, come on,
John was a little bit of a star. Actually,
yeah, the spin-off, wasn't he, on the yeah.
Also, they kept doing those little clips. Yeah, that's right. I've forgotten that. Yeah.
So anyway, I do talks as well, and I enjoy that.
Very good. So, your life changed a lot, and you've obviously got a new career.
Yeah.
At the grand age of 60 up to 68, which is fantastic.
That's right, yeah, 68.
So let's move on to this diagnosis that you had.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is fascinating.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's right. So I went for my annual review a couple of years ago where they take bloods and stuff. And it came back with a ping on my telephone saying, you've been registered as pre-diabetic. I thought, what? I was mortified, actually, because I remember thinking, well, I already take blood pressure and the dreaded statins, which I was persuaded to take. So I've got those in my armoury. And I just thought, I don't want any more. I don't want anything else in that pot each day. And I was, just as with the Bake Off, really, I was immediately filled with, I'm not going to let this happen. What can I do? I'm going to change this. So I wasn't at home when that ping came in. I came home and settled down to do some research using the internet, really. Loads and loads of ways. I found the same message coming through, which was, it's perfectly possible to what's the word?
Reverse it or prevent it.
It's possible to reverse it. Well, and prevent it, obviously, but in my case, reverse it with a combination of diet and lifestyle changes and exercise, all have to play together. And I did the research, and I went down to the supermarket and got stocked up with all the things that we should be eating. And, you know, I mean, it's a big story. And I'm not professional, but I did learn one of the things, like, you know, to stop your blood sugar spiking, because as soon as you have any carbs or sugars, they're the culprits, and that goes straight in. So not to, if you're going to have those things, at least have them on a full stomach or something else that will slow down. So it's all to do with that. So I started obviously with more fibre, with greens. French people never have a meal, in my experience, without starting it with some green leaves first.
Really?
And that, like rocket, I started getting rocket. It's actually quite bitter, but I eat it.
I
because,
love rocket.
Yeah, but eating something like that before you have anything else is the best start to keep everything down. At the beginning, I cut out as many carbs as possible. And I love carbs. Don't we all love some carbs? Pasta and
Bread.
potatoes,
Oh my
and
gosh.
rice and bread. But I did have them. I went to the whole grain, which we know about, you know, and it's, you know, it's a different texture and taste sometimes, but I got used to it. But, you know, I went on to sweet potatoes. Yes, pasta, but always whole grain pasta, and less of it.
Not huge changes though. Little
Not
changes.
massive, no. And I've never had a massively sweet tooth. Oh, it's not that I don't ever, but that was one thing good, you know. And then built in the exercise, so the diet got going, and plenty of it. Bulk eating, you know. I started to lose the weight because, of course, being type 2 potentially is a lot to do with being overweight generally as well, and in my case it was. So I started kicking it down and got excited then, you know, and getting on the scales after 2 or 3 days and seeing movement down, and getting really, really passionate about it, getting my avocados in and eggs and chia seeds and all the things. And then subscribed to a gym. So I went to my local health centre and got an annual thing, and started doing the classes and underwater as well, aqua aerobics, which I really like, but also some strength training, and then trying to just move more all the time. And that combination got me off the register after about 6 weeks.
That's amazing.
It was quite. I was quite.
That was amazing. So it's move more, eat more greens, eat less carbs.
Yeah.
Eat less chocolate. What about the wine? Did you cut back on the wine?
I don't drink as much wine now as I did once upon a time. I think that's a trend. But I definitely reduced that as well. Always had some. So I would always have, like, maybe I'd have a glass of red wine and a square of 85%. I like 85% chocolate of an evening. And again, I'm taking the sort of the French lifestyle as part of it. That is the little tiny bits of some really good stuff is often enough, especially when you've got your mindset working. Once you're in the zone that you want it to work, just a treat like that you anticipate, and only just have a small amount. And yeah, it was great. I loved it. Overall, I lost how much did I write? 2 stone? Was it 3 stone? I can't remember, but quite a significant amount.
Wow. Not in 6 weeks, obviously.
No, that took me about 18 months.
Yeah.
To achieve. Yeah. And I still do my gymming and stuff, and get out in the fresh air as much as possible.
And also there's a social side of being at especially classes, where you meet people in the classes.
Oh, there is. I reckon.
Yeah.
It's all to do with, because my husband has an Alzheimer's diagnosis recently as well, and from that's a completely different thing, obviously. But I realised that I needed to keep my own self going so we could have a decent quality of life, really. And to do that, it means interacting with more people. And you're right, go into the classes. We've got a little bonded group. We don't,
Yeah,
we don't go outside of that, but like at Christmas we had a little party, and
yeah, yeah.
it's just people and you can just chat for that time, and it's really, really important. Well, it's really important to me that I continue that.
Well, I used to have a class on a Monday morning, and it was a retirement group, and they did all sorts of social things, but they had this class that I took over. And when I started, there was about 10 of them, and they were all 65 plus. And as you know, I recently relocated, so I had to finish that class. And I was chatting away to a few of them, and I'm like, age are you? How old are you people? And they were all, most of them, like it grew. So there was now about 30. And there's a lot of them are in the early 80s. So I started with them when they were in their mid 60s. And they're just wonderful. And, they go on holiday together. And I would see people coming in and they'd be nervous, self-conscious. I've come for the first time. They didn't know anybody. And I was always very good at introducing people and connecting them. And then you see them like going off on holiday together. You just go, this is fantastic. Yeah. So I'm so much an advocate of social interaction, especially as we get older. And you've got other things going on in your life. You do need that kind of break where you can just let off some steam. So we're going to finish, but before we finish, I would like you to just tell us about your book and where people can find that. And so, because I'm sure they're going to want to buy it and get all your fabulous recipes. So just tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, yes. So I wrote the book as a bit of a therapy, actually. 3 years ago, I went on a journey. I went on a holiday, really, in a motorhome, and I decided to document it over 30 days. Everywhere we'd gone, everything I thought about, take some beautiful photographs and do a recipe of the day, if you like, that we had to eat each night. And we published it, and it's fabulous. It's called Meals on the Move, a campsite cooking journey. And it's available on Amazon or my website, better, which is www.karenwrightbakes.co.uk.
Okay, so we'll put that in the comments below. Yeah. And it's called Meals on the Move. Is that right?
Campsite cooking journey. But obviously the meals, you don't have to be on a journey. You can cook them at home just as easily.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've got a copy of the book. It's absolutely fabulous. The photographs are beautiful, and not just but the story. It's so interesting. So I recommend anybody who's listening or watching, get onto Amazon or get onto Karen's website and get that book or buy it as a gift for somebody, because you'll not regret it.
Thank you.
So, Karen, thank you so much. You've been so inspirational. I'm sure that people watching, listening are going to be inspired and maybe just take a chance and try something different and try something new, because you never know where that might lead you.
Exactly. Thank you, Karen.
All right. Have a great day, and thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the 320 Way in Conversation with Karen Case. Like, listen and subscribe for upcoming episodes, and join the growing 320 Way community at 320way.com.